What ancient family tradition did you put a stop to? My family has this tradition that goes back like 4 generations. Every Christmas Eve, all the women in the family have to cook this massive dinner while the men sit in the living room watching football. I'm talking about a full spread. Turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, 3 different casseroles, homemade rolls, pies, the works. It takes literally all day to prepare. Growing up, I remember my mom, my aunts, and my grandma would be in the kitchen from sunrise until dinner time. They'd be exhausted, sweating over the stove while my dad and uncles were lounging on the couch yelling at the TV. When I was little, I thought that's just how it was. Once I turned 12, I had to join them in the kitchen. My grandma would say, "Time to learn your place in this family." I hated it. Every Christmas Eve, I'd be stuck peeling potatoes for hours while my brother got to relax and play video games. Last year was supposed to be my first Christmas hosting at my house. I'm 28 now, married to my husband Jake for 2 years. My whole family was coming over, about 30 people total. 2 weeks before Christmas, my mom called to go over the menu. She started listing everything I needed to buy and prepare. I stopped her and said, "Actually, I was thinking we could do something different this year." She got quiet, then she asked what I meant. I told her I wanted to order catering, or maybe everyone could bring a dish, make it easier on everyone. She sounded hurt. She said, "That's not how we do Christmas. This is family tradition. We cook together." I pointed out that cooking together really meant the women do all the work. She got defensive, saying, "That's just how things are. The men work hard all year and deserve to relax." I asked if she thought the women don't work hard all year too. She didn't have an answer for that. She just said, "Your grandma's going to be very disappointed in you." The next day, my Aunt Sarah called, then my Aunt Linda, then my grandma, all of them trying to convince me to do the traditional dinner. My grandma even said I was disrespecting generations of family history. I talked to Jake about it. He said it was completely up to me, but he thought the tradition was outdated anyway. He offered to help cook if I wanted to do it the traditional way. That's when it hit me. Why couldn't the men help? Christmas Eve came and my family showed up around noon. My mom, aunts, and grandma headed straight for my kitchen with bags of groceries. My dad and uncles went to the living room and turned on the game. I stopped everyone and said I had an announcement. I told them we were doing things differently this year. Everyone was going to help cook, men included. You should have seen their faces. My Uncle Rick laughed and said, "Good one." I told him I was serious. My grandma looked like I'd just insulted her entire bloodline. My dad said, "Son, we don't cook. That's women's work." I looked right at him and said, "Then I guess you're not eating tonight." The room went dead silent. My mom tried to smooth things over, saying we should just stick to tradition. I stood my ground. I said either everyone helps or we're ordering pizza. My brother was the first one to get up. He said, "I'll help. Where do you want me?" Jake joined him, then my cousin Mike. One by one, the younger guys started coming into the kitchen. The older men sat there looking uncomfortable. My Uncle Rick finally got up, mumbling something about setting the table. My dad took another 20 minutes, but eventually he came in and asked what he could do. I handed him a potato peeler. We all cooked together that night. Yeah, it was chaotic and my Uncle Rick burned the rolls, but we got it done in half the time. And for the first time ever, my mom actually got to sit down and relax before dinner. After we ate, my grandma pulled me aside. I thought she was going to yell at me. Instead, she grabbed my hand and said, "I wish I'd done this 40 years ago. This year, we're hosting at my house again, and you better believe everyone's helping in that kitchen."
I left my wife because she couldn't get over her parents dying, and I don't feel guilty about it. My wife was always very close with her parents, and when they passed away in a car crash 5 years ago, she went into a deep slump. She wouldn't leave her bed, and I took on every chore and cared for our newborn by myself. The problem is, it's been like this for 5 years. For 5 years, she hasn't left her bed, and I mean that literally. She expected me to cook her meals, and when I was at work, she ordered takeout. We hadn't had intimacy in 5 years. I didn't remember the last time she kissed me. She barely speaks to our 6-year-old daughter. I did every household chore myself. I worked 60-hour weeks. I finally worked up the courage, and I decided to put my foot down about everything, for the sake of our kids, for me, and especially for her. I sat next to her on the bed, took her hand gently in mine, and spoke softly. "I know it's hard. It's been really hard for both of us, but we can't keep going on like this, stuck in this endless sadness. Our kid missed you. I miss you too. I miss hearing your laugh and seeing your smile. Please, for all of us, can you try to take even a small step forward with me?" I asked her. She looked back at me. I saw a singular tear fall down her cheek. She squeezed my hand weakly and said, "I don't know if I can." I was beginning to lose my patience. I told her she had to get up. She had to. I didn't care how sad she felt. She had to get up. She went silent. The air felt heavy, and then I said that I couldn't keep doing this alone. I was tired. She told me that I had no idea of how it felt to lose my parents, and refused to speak to me after that. I yelled, "You're seriously telling me I don't understand what it's like to lose someone? You were getting your master's degree. You were studying to be something. While you were in school, I supported you through everything. I paid for your tuition. I paid for the house that we're living in. I worked almost 70 hours a week to put food on the table for us, while trying to be there for our kids. You remember it. During that time, Andrew died. My own brother and I couldn't even attend his funeral because I had to work to put food on our table. When Drew died, I didn't have time to mope around and stay in the bed every day. I had to get up and work even harder for you, for us. I was still here for you. When you decided to leave school in the middle of the semester, I still paid for the full class. When you needed therapy, I paid for it. Whenever you needed a shoulder to cry on or someone to be strong for you, I did it. I was there. I was depressed, Kaylee. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to be the only one taking care of Connor, taking him to school every day before before I work a 10-hour shift and not being able to greet him as he gets off the bus. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings, but after 5 years of grieving, I am tired. Kaylee didn't say anything. She just looked at me. I asked her if she had anything to say, and she stayed silent. This infuriated me because it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I woke Connor up, and I left the house for the night and got a hotel. I needed some space away. On the drive there, Connor asked me why Mom wasn't coming with us, and I told him that she would rather stay in the bed because she needed some rest. After we left, she kept calling me and texting me. I texted her back that I would see her in the morning, and she sent a text to come back home that instant, but I needed some space from her. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb, put Connor to bed, and got his clothes ready for school the next morning. While he was asleep, I started writing a letter to give to Kaylee. The next morning, I woke up Connor and drove him to school. Since our home was in between his school and my job, I stopped by the house and dropped off the letter. In it, I told Kaylee how much I loved her and wanted the best for her. I told her again everything that I said the night before, how I was tired and couldn't keep working 50, 60-hour weeks to support our family while I was the only one taking care of Connor. I was also the only one keeping up with the house, and it was starting to get worse. Clothes and dishes would often pile up in the sink and would still be there when I got home. The rooms were messy if I didn't straighten them up, and you can forget about dusting. After 5 years of keeping this up, I was getting burned out. At the end of the letter, I told her that if she couldn't help me with anything or get out the bed for herself, then I would have to get a divorce. I left the letter on the kitchen counter. Before work, I would normally buy her breakfast or cook her breakfast, but I didn't have the time that morning, so I knew she would come downstairs and see it. Around 11 o'clock, while I was at work, Kaylee called me and was yelling on the phone. She asked me how I could treat her like that after she lost both of her parents. She said now I'm making her lose her family. I said that it wasn't the best time to talk about this and that we could talk when I got home. When I got home that night, I was greeted at the door by Kaylee. This was the first time I saw her out of the bed after I got off work in years, but it wasn't a pleasant surprise. She started talking about the letter I dropped off and how I was selfish and a lowlife for wanting to break up our family. She was screaming and throwing things in the living room. She said that I was a failure at being a husband and a dad and that I would never be half the man her therapist was. She said he would let her express herself and didn't judge her like I did. I let her get all of her emotions and words out before I got up, wiped the tears on my face, and without a word, I left the house. I drove around, but not to the hotel this time. I drove around the town and tried to clear my head of all the hurtful things she said to me, but under the city lights, all that played through my mind was the last 5 years and the arguments we'd had. I couldn't imagine spending my life without Kaylee, and I thought about how this could affect Connor. I thought about couples therapy, but between the house and the kids and only one income, I knew we wouldn't be able to afford both of our therapists.